Gong decrees heavier penalties against river polluters. Malaysia reports largest rise in COVID-19 cases since June. Good evening and thanks for joining us. You're watching News at 10 with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today described the Sungai Gong water pollution incident, which caused a major water disruption affecting approximately 5 million people in the Klang Valley, as an irresponsible action that caused harm to the people. Now, while expressing his disappointment over the incident, His Majesty decreed that those involved in causing the pollution to be taken to court and, if convicted, be punished with heavier penalties. Well, Comptroller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Samsudin, in a statement today said that Al-Sultan Abdullah, who has been following the development of the incident from the first day of the unscheduled water disruption, is really concerned about the grievances and burden of the people facing the problem. Well, he also said His Majesty has expressed sympathy to the people who had to queue up to get a pail of water every time the water supply is disrupted. His Majesty said the pollution case of Sungai Gong was a repeated case which not only affected the people but also the local economy, as many businesses had to cease operations due to the unscheduled water disruption. Apart from stern actions, Al-Sultan Abdullah also called on the authorities, especially the Environment and Water Ministry, through the Department of Environment, to enhance monitoring and law enforcement to ensure such incident of river pollution would not recur. Well, he said the King also expressed appreciation to Pengurusan Air Selangor Sendirian Berhad and the relevant government agencies for their swift action to restore the water supply to the affected areas. Well, meanwhile, the Selayang Magistrates Court today ordered 2 factory workers to be remanded for 6 days for investigation into the pollution of Sungai Gong in Rawang that disrupted pipe water supply over the past 4 days. Magistrate Nik Muhammad Fadli Nik Azlan issued the remand order against the 2 men, aged 20 and 57, over the pollution of the river. Now, Sungai Gong is a tributary of Sungai Sembah, which flows into Sungai Selangor that supplies water to 4 treatment plants, which had to be shut down once the pollution was detected on 3rd September. Now, the 2 men were brought to the Selayang Court complex at 9:15 a.m. today after being arrested at a premises in Jalan Batu Arang, Rawang yesterday. They are being held for investigation in accordance with Section 430 of the Penal Code for allegedly committing mischief by causing a diminution in the supply of water for agricultural purposes or for food or drink for human beings or for animals. The section provides for a jail term of between 5 and 30 years or a fine, or both, upon conviction. On 5th September, 4 factory managers, all brothers aged between 50 and 60, were remanded for 6 days of up to Thursday over the same issue. Well, the factory at the center of the Sungai Gong pollution has been operating since 2014 without any license or permission from the Selayang Municipal Council, or MPS. And based on MPS data, the factory management had not made any application for license since 2014. MPS Corporate Department Director Mohammad Zain Masoud said the local authority had also advised the factory twice to apply for a license after it was found operating in the past 6 years without any proper documentation.
Sebab adalah menjadi tanggungjawab pemilik lah. Apabila menerima notis daripada majlis, mereka hendaklah mematuhilah kita punya notis, dan kita dapati pihak kilang ni gagal untuk mematuhi notis pertama yang kita berikan pada bulan Mac yang lepas lah, di mana mereka langsung tidak menghantar sebarang permohonan untuk menjalankan perniagaan.
On Thursday, Air Selangor stopped the operations at its Sungai Selangor Water Treatment Plant Phases 1, 2 and 3 and the Rantau Panjang Water Treatment Plant due to industrial effluent pollution in Sungai Gong, Rawang. The pollution was detected flowing from the factory into Sungai Gong, a tributary of Sungai Selangor. The restoration of water supply to over 1.2 million water account holders in 1,292 areas in the Klang Valley has since proceeded smoothly, and full restoration is expected by Wednesday. Malaysia has confirmed 62 new COVID-19 cases today, with 50 cases linked to the Benteng Lahad Datu LD cluster in Sabah. Well, the last time the country had more than 50 cases in a single day was on 4th June, when it had 277 cases. In a statement released today, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said of the 62 cases, 56 were local transmissions, while 6 were import cases. Now, the Benteng LD cluster was first announced by the ministry on 1st September, where 7 cases were found positive for COVID-19 following a screening for inmates conducted at the Lahad Datu Police Headquarters. The Health Ministry later traced more cases at the Tower prison after several inmates with travel history to the Lahad Datu Police Headquarters tested positive. As many as 15 new cases today involve detainees, and in total, the cluster has 66 confirmed cases so far, of which 30 are Malaysians while 36 are foreigners. Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham also announced the new Sungai cluster in Kedah, which has 2 confirmed cases involving 2 healthcare workers in the state. Cumulatively, the country's total number of cases since the outbreak began in January is 9,459. On another note, 9 patients have been discharged, which meant the total number of recoveries is 9,124, or at a rate of 96.5%. The total number of active cases in the country has now gone up to 207 cases. 6 people have been admitted into intensive care units, with 4 of them requiring ventilator support. No fatalities, meanwhile, were reported, which meant the COVID-19 death toll in the country remains at 128, or at a rate of 1.35%. Well, police detained a total of 873 people nationwide yesterday for failing to comply with standard operating procedures of the Recovery Movement Control Order, RMCO. Now, Senior Minister for Security, Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said the majority of the lawbreakers were 580 attendees of nightclubs. Elaborating further in a statement released, Dato' Sri Sabri Ismail said compounds were issued to 797, while 71 were remanded pending further investigation and 5 were released on bail. He also said the offences committed were involved in nightclub activities, that's 580, failure to observe social distancing, 118, not wearing face masks, 52, undocumented foreign nationals, 39, failure to provide customer registration at business premises, 22, suspected of involvement in prostitution activities, 7, flouting compulsory quarantine, 2, and obstructing a civil servant from carrying out his duties, 1. The number of arrests made on nightclub attendees remained high, despite nightclubs still prohibited from operations during the RMCO period. Earlier, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said nightclubs and entertainment centres are to remain closed until then, on the basis that ensuring health protocols to prevent the spread of the highly infectious COVID-19 virus, such as physical distancing, would be difficult otherwise. Long-term pass holders from 23 countries which have recorded more than 150,000 COVID-19 cases are barred from entering Malaysia effective today. Well, according to a list issued by the Immigration Department on its official Facebook account, the countries include the United States, Brazil, India, Russia, Peru, Colombia, South Africa, Mexico, Spain, Argentina, and Chile. Well, also on the list are Iran, United Kingdom, Bangladesh, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, France, Turkey, Italy, Germany, Iraq, Philippines, and Indonesia. Well, on 1st September, Senior Minister for Security, Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, announced an entry ban on long-term visit pass holders from India, Indonesia and the Philippines beginning today due to a spike in COVID-19 cases in these countries. Also barred were spouses of Malaysian citizens and their children, as well as students from the 3 countries who wanted to return to Malaysia. Well, 2 days later, Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri announced the government's decision to impose an entry ban on citizens of countries recording more than 150,000 cases of COVID-19. However, he said that exemptions would be given for emergency cases or matters pertaining to bilateral relations, but it would require permission from the Immigration Department. The Court of Appeal today adjourned to noon tomorrow the resumption of hearing of an appeal over the dissolution of the Sabah Legislative Assembly on 30th July. Justice Dato' Abdul Karim Abdul Jalil, who chaired a 3-panel bench, adjourned the hearing as the parties to the case had lengthy submissions to make. Well, the court is hearing submissions from counsel, Dato' Firoz Hussein Ahmad Jamaluddin, who is representing Tan Sri Musa Aman and 32 other assemblymen, Sabah Attorney General Brendan Keith Sow, who is acting for Sabah Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Tun Johar Mahiruddin, and Counsel Dato' Cyrus Das, who is appearing for Chief Minister Dato' Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdul and the state government. Well, Dato' Firoz completed his submission today, and Dato' Cyrus, who began submitting today, will continue tomorrow. Senior Federal Counsel Susanna Atan is appearing for the Election Commission. And following the dissolution of the State Assembly, the EC set 12 September for nomination and 26 September for polling in the 16th Sabah State election. A former director of a government agency was charged at the Kota Baru Sessions Court today with falsifying a proposal involving an amount of 15,440 ringgit in July last year. Anwar Madzin, 46, however, pleaded not guilty after the charge was read out to him before Judge Zaman Muhammad Noor. While the accused was then the Kelantan Kemas director, was charged with falsifying a proposal regarding the 2019 Kelantan Kemas Desa Harapan coordinating workshop amounting to 15,450 ringgit at a hotel in Guam Musang. Well, he was alleged to have deceived the Kemas Director General into believing that the one-day workshop on 25th July last year would be held for 3 days from 24th to 26th July 2019. Anwar allegedly committed the offence at the Kemas Director's office in Wisma Persekutuan Kota Baru last July. Well, the charge was framed under Section 18 of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, or MACC Act 2009, which can be punished under Section 24 of the same Act, which provides for a maximum imprisonment of 20 years and a fine of not less than 5 times of the bribe amount, or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is higher. Well, the judge set bail at 7,000 ringgit and ordered Anwar to surrender his passport to the court and the report to the MACC office once a month. The court fixed 7 October for re-mention of the case. Coming up, MAS offers fixed fare economy class deals. Well, Malaysia Airlines Berhad is offering customers more reasons to travel with its latest fixed fare deals on all economy class seats to domestic destinations as demand for domestic travel starts to show a positive trend. And from 8th to 13th September, customers will be able to book their one-way all-in fare to all domestic destinations for immediate travel until 16 December 2020 via the airline's official website or mobile app or its appointed agents. Now, in a statement released today, MAS said the deals on all economy class seats provide the flexibility for customers to book their trip based on their travel needs and preferences, priorities and purchasing capabilities. Well, for Peninsula and intra-Sabah Sarawak destinations, all-in one-way fares are 179 ringgit, that's the light package, 199 for the basic package and 259 the flex package, while the fares for Sabah are 299 ringgit, the light package, 319 basic package and 379 ringgit, the flex package, and for Sarawak, 239 ringgit, the light package, 259 the basic package and 319 ringgit the flex package. Group Chief Executive Officer Captain Isham Ismail said with its fixed fare deals, MAB hopes to further boost domestic travel with over 300,000 seats on offer. The airline has noticed an excellent appetite for domestic travel since the RMCO phase, and the encouraging improvements were seen, especially in locations which offer natural attractions like islands, beaches, highlands or forests, including Pulau Pinang, Langkawi and Johor Bahru. To accommodate the increase in passenger travel, Malaysia Airlines will be increasing its capacity from October 2020 for some key routes, including Kota Kinabalu, Langkawi, Labuan, Johor Bahru and Kuching. The Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation, MATRADE, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, the MOF, and Islamic Development Bank, ISDB, has released a comprehensive directory that lists Malaysian expertise that are able to provide capacity development solutions to ISDB member countries. The directory, called Mapping Malaysia's Resource Centres, MMRC, contains information on Malaysian organisations, which is referred to as resource centres comprising government agencies, private institutions and companies. Well, the directory constitutes Malaysia's participation in the ISDB reverse linkage program, which is a South-South cooperation mechanism that addresses specific development solutions in ISDB member countries. The directory also facilitates a mutually beneficial arrangement between countries involving transfer and provision of expertise, knowledge and technology by provider countries to countries in need of the services. Well, as the appointed Malaysia's focal point for ISDB's reverse linkage program, MarTrade coordinates the participation of both public and private sectors alongside ISDB in providing Malaysian expertise to help develop priority sectors in ISDB member countries. The MMRC directory can be accessed for free on MarTrade's e-book viewing platform alongside with numerous publications related to international trade and working with Malaysian businesses. For more information, visit MarTrade's website at www.martrade.gov.my. Well, 8 feared dead after Typhoon hit South Korea. That and more coming up in our forward segment. Well, supporters of Julian Assange today protested outside a London courtroom calling for the WikiLeaks founder not to be extradited to the United States for leaking secrets about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, earlier, Assange's partner, Stella Morris, delivered an 80,000-strong petition opposing his extradition to Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Downing Street office. Well, she said she feared he would take his own life and that 2 young sons who were conceived during his asylum in Ecuador's London embassy would grow up without a father. Well, Assange appeared in the dock wearing a dark suit and maroon tie, the first time he has been seen in public since the first part of the hearing in February. The Old Bailey hearing, due to the last 3 to 4 weeks, had been set to go ahead in April, but was delayed by the COVID-19 outbreak. Assange faces 18 charges under the U.S. Espionage Act for the 2010 release of 500,000 secret files detailing aspects of U.S. military campaigns in Afghanistan and Iraq. Washington claims he helped intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning to steal the documents before recklessly exposing confidential sources around the world. If convicted, he could be jailed for up to 175 years. A powerful typhoon lashed South Korea today after smashing into southern Japan with record winds and heavy rains that left up to 8 people dead or missing. More than 300,000 households were still without power this afternoon after Typhoon Hanshin roared past Japan's southern island of Kyushu, ripping off roofs and dumping half a meter of water in just a day. Rescue workers were picking through mud and detritus, seeking for missing people after a landslide in rural Miyazaki. At least 1 person had been killed by the typhoon, Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga said, with the causes of another 3 deaths during the storm was not immediately known. Haishen, which came on the heels of another powerful typhoon, crashed into Okinawa on Saturday and moved northwards throughout Sunday. By lunchtime today, the storm had moved over South Korea, forcing the cancellation of hundreds of flights and triggering landslides. Traffic lights and trees were felled in and around Busan. Streets were flooded and power was knocked out for around 20,000 homes across the country. The typhoon cut electricity to Hyundai Motor's assembly lines in the city of Ulsan, bringing production to a halt for several hours. Coming up in sports, Germany remained winless in Nations League as Fatih makes history with Spain. Well, firstly, national under-19 striker Luqman Hakim Samsudin continued his outstanding performance after scoring 1 goal to help his club, KV Kortrijk, defeat BX Brussels 2-1 in a friendly match in Belgium on Saturday. Now, the 18-year-old Kota Baru-born said he was delighted to find the back of the net for the second time after having scored his maiden goal during the club's 1-4 defeat to KRC Ghent last week. Luqman Hakim, however, did not want to rest on his laurels and vowed to work hard to impress the club's manager, Yves van der Harte.
First game is very good for me and it's difficult for me because it's the first time for me to play Euro. So I must push myself and never give up.
Luqman flew to Belgium last month after signing a 5-year contract with KB Kortrijk, owned by Malaysian business tycoon Tan Sri Vincent Tan. Well, Germany was still waiting for their first ever Nations League win after they gave a tied performance and were held to a 1-1 draw by Switzerland early this morning. Well, Germany also let the lead more likely slip in a 1-1 draw with Spain on Thursday, failed to win any of their 4 games in the inaugural Nations League 2 years ago and have drawn their opening 2 games this time around. Joachim Low stuck with his 3-man defense and his side made an early breakthrough. Matthias Ginter, despite being surrounded by 5 defenders, laid the ball back to Ilkay Gundogan, who rolled a shot between Jan Sommer and his near post from 20 meters in the 14th minute. Julian Draxler should have added a second shortly afterwards, but shot straight at Sommer. Switzerland were let down by their all failing in front of goal, with Haris Severovic, the biggest culprit, miss-kicking from 6 meters after Djibril So's pass found him free. The Benfica striker also hit the post just before halftime. Lambolo's run from midfield constantly troubled Germany, and he set up the equalizer in the 58th minute. The visitors lost possession in midfield. Embolo burst into the area and laid the ball off to Sylvain Widmer, who scored on his return to the side after a 3-year absence. In the end, Germany may have been grateful for the result in the League A Group 4 game, as the much livelier host, unbeaten in their last 17 competitive matches at home, created the better chances. Well, in the other Nations League game today, Spain forward Ansu Fati became the national team's youngest ever goalscorer as a 17-year-old inspired Luis Enrique's side to a resounding 4-0 win at home to Ukraine. Spain captain Sergio Ramos scored the opening goal with a penalty in the 3rd minute after Fati had earned the spot kick, and the defender also doubled his side's advantage by heading home in the 29th minute. Ramos's double moved him on to 23 goals for Spain, overtaking former Argentina player Daniel Passarella as the highest scoring defender for an international team. Yet the night belonged to Fati, who finally got a goal worthy of his inspirational performance by firing in off the post from outside the area in the 33rd minute, having gone close with an overhead kick and another effort earlier on. Substitute Ferran Torres, 20, struck on the volley in the 84th minute, also to get his first goal for his country and round off a superb evening with a new generation of players as defender Eric Garcia and Sergio Reguilón made their debuts. The victory took Spain top of League A Group 4 with 4 points from 2 games. Well, on to tennis. Novak Djokovic was sensationally disqualified from the U.S. Open on Sunday after striking a female-lined official in the throat with a ball. Now, the world number 1 went 5-6 down in the first set to Spain's Pablo Carreño Busta when he pulled a ball out of his pocket and hit it in disgust in the direction of the official. Djokovic appeared to be looking away from the official at the time, but he hit the ball with considerable force, and when it struck her, she could be heard gasping and coughing. The official fell to the ground of the Arthur Ashe court, clutching her throat. Djokovic rushed over to check that she was okay, and after a few minutes, she got up and walked off the court. Following around 10 minutes of discussions with a rules official, during which Djokovic argued his case, the umpire declared that Carreño Busta had won by default. Djokovic then shook hands with Carreño Busta and quickly exited Flushing Meadows without speaking to reporters. Carreño Busta said he did not see the incident, adding that the incident was unintentional. Djokovic is one of only a handful of players to be disqualified from a men's singles tournament at a Grand Slam since John McEnroe was infamously tossed from the Australian Open in 1990. The United States Tennis Association said he would lose all ranking points and prize money from the tournament. Djokovic had been chasing an 18th Grand Slam title at the Billie Jean King U.S. National Tennis Center. He was hoping to close the gap on Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, both absent from the tournament, in the race for the all-time men's Slam singles title record. Djokovic is on 17 with Nadal on 19 and Federer on 20. And on to four wheels, Pierre Gasly secured a maiden Formula One triumph on Sunday when he won a tumultuous Italian Grand Prix for the AlphaTauri team after crashes, penalties and safety cars had tipped expectations upside down at Monza. The first French race winner in 24 years seized his opportunity and resisted late pressure from Carlos Sainz of McLaren to claim his team's second victory with Lance Stroll finishing third for Racing Point. It was the AlphaTauri outfit's second win on Italian soil, the first having been scored for them when they raced as Toro Rosso by Sebastian Vettel, his maiden F1 win in a rain-hit race in 2008. Pole sitter Lewis Hamilton was on his way to a comfortable win before a 10-second stop-go penalty for taking a pit stop when the pit lane was closed pushed the Mercedes world champion to the back of the pack. The six-time champion eventually ended up in 7th place. Gasly, who was dropped by Red Bull to rejoin the junior sister team last year, jumped for joy as he leapt from his car, was the first French driver to win a Grand Prix since Olivier Panis was triumphant at the 1996 Monaco Grand Prix. Meanwhile, the Ferrari-bound Sainz said he was halfway disappointed with his first podium finish. Lando Norris came home fourth in the second McLaren ahead of Valtteri Bottas of Mercedes and Daniel Ricciardo of Renault. Despite the penalty, Hamilton still managed to extend his record run to 41 successive points finishes. He has a 47-point lead over Bottas in the championship. Hamilton also had the fastest lap of the race on Sunday as he finished ahead of Esteban Ocon on the second Renault, Daniel Kvyat in the second AlphaTauri, and Sergio Perez in the second Racing Point. And on to two wheels, Slovenians took the laurels on the Tour de France on Sunday as rookie Tadej Pogačar won a Pyrenean mountain slog and his compatriot Primož Roglic grabbed the overall lead. The overnight yellow leader Adam Yates of Britain made a valiant effort to keep hold of the yellow jersey but fell gradually away on the final climb as the gradient hit 12%. Pre-Tour contender Roglic has been the foreman this season and after Sunday's second-place finish leads defending champion Ineos leader Egan Bernal by 21 seconds. French pair Gio Mata and Romain Bardet are third and fourth overall with Colombian duo Nairo Quintana and Rigoberto Urán within touching distance. The 153-kilometer ninth stage set off from Pau in the southwest, and there were many spectators in berets along the route, and it took in 5 climbs, including 2 Category 1 mountains. The two Slovenians narrowly avoided disaster as they crossed the final summit, Col du Marie Blanc, together. Pogačar looked around to see where Bernal was, swerved and clipped Roglic. Both did well to stay in the saddle. Monday's the first rest day, but a nervous wait for results of COVID-19 swab tests awaits the riders with a ban on teams with 2 positive cases. Well, names are truly difficult, yeah. Well, that concludes this evening's news at 10. And in our top story, Agong decrees heavier penalties against river polluters. Do join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Mohammed Amin Carlos. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.